up the Ad Hoc Technical Review Committee for June 17th, 2021 at 10 a.m. via Zoom for 567 Main Road ATM design review to build and install an ATM in the parking lot of Dollar General, plat 116, lot 361 on Main Road. So I will do a roll call. John will be coming, but he isn't here right now. I'll note when he comes in.
John Hoyle.
Rick Rogers is not. Maybe we should hold off a couple minutes because I know that Rick will be attending. And police, Patrick Jones is not here. Rosemary Eva is here. Here. Peter Bermonti, he is not here. Christine Shea was not able to attend today, and I am here. So we should probably wait for some more of a quorum. I'm sure I see Rick. Rick, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Seven. So we need one more person. So let me see if I can get John, if that's okay. Because then we'd have a quorum. Okay, we'll wait for John. He should be here in one moment. John, do you want to join me here? Yeah. Okay. So John is going to join me on Zoom here. So John has joined the meeting. Can the applicants introduce themselves?
Mike Purr from William Stark Architects. I'm the architect on behalf of Citizens Bank that's proposing the construction of the remote drive-up ATM. And then also on the phone, we have our civil engineer, Phil Penry from Civil Design Group.
Do you want to?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
Share your screen if you would like to go over the plans.
Okay. Could everyone see that?
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay to proceed, or are we still waiting for anyone?
You can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to thank everyone again for the time and giving us the ability and the opportunity to present this project in front of the Technical Review Committee. As Jennifer stated, this is for a remote drive-up ATM located on the Dollar General site on here. The project is approximately 1,000 square feet, and it's being proposed to be constructed within the Dollar General site, which is approximately 8,300 square feet. The actual site itself for the Dollar General requires a minimum of 28 parking spaces. Currently has 33 parking spaces. Due to the requirements or the laws, the ATM does not require any additional parking spaces. The project, as we know, is in the pedestrian-friendly destination, which is the overlay district. And as such, the ATM has been placed within the minimum yard setback requirements. Please note that there's also an existing easement within the property line that's shared with the abutter. That's 80 feet from the main street on there. The main abutter lot is 360. I'll just jump down a little bit here.
Is that an existing easement or something?
That's an existing easement that's in place. Yep. And just for context of the Dollar General and our proposed ATM that we're presenting today, this area indicated in red as the home is the proposed area for the Citizens Bank remote drive-up. The blue in relation to this are other locations of what Citizens Bank calls in-store branches, and the green is other branch locations. So in regards to the selection of this area and why it's important to Citizens Bank, there really isn't an area that they can service their customers without going into Portsmouth or over into the Massachusetts area. We did conduct a traffic study for this area here, the 2A and B, which we had cameras and the study monitors done. Again, please note that these two areas do share the entrance for the abutter property in here. So we did them on 2 days, a weekday, which is a Thursday, and we did it on Saturday to get a better understanding and grouping of the amount of volume that we see at both these entrances. And I'll zoom in just so everyone can see it if they haven't already. Bear with me.
Yes.
So at the peak time, coming into entrance A on a Thursday, you're looking at 71 vehicles and 71 vehicles, entering, 31 vehicles exiting. At location B on a Thursday, you're looking at 44 vehicles entering and 75 vehicles exiting. On a Saturday, you're looking at an average of 85 vehicles entering and 33 vehicles exiting. And on location B, 34 vehicles entering and 75 vehicles exiting. The average ATM traffic that you would see at one of these types of installations varies, but we're looking between 20 and 30. 30 is considered a high volume for these. And then in keeping with the requirements of the recent review checklist, we've engaged a landscape architect also to provide landscaping at the proposed ATM island itself. Knowing that, again, we are in the pedestrian-friendly destination, landscaping is a requirement. So we do have plant species of different sorts that are low maintenance that are being proposed for planting within the island itself. And then if I may, just a few more shots out. To improve the actual site, again, in keeping with the code requirements or the standard base code, form code, for the pedestrian friendly destination overlay district, what the bank has agreed to do to work with the landlord, which is Dollar General, is to improve the site itself. Currently, there's no way for a pedestrian walking along Main Street to safely enter the Dollar General. So as part of this scope, even though it's outside the project area, we are proposing to do line striping through the parking lot that could have someone safely walk through the parking lot to the Dollar General and then back out this way. We are also proposing putting traffic pavement striping in locations with arrows to show the vehicle traffic, which currently there isn't now. So we'll clearly identify the entrance, the exit at both the A and B locations, and also within the parking lot itself. And then into our ATM area, which is set further back, again, entering and exiting vehicle traffic arrows, as well as a turn into the ATM. The ATM is designed to have at least 3 cars in a queue in the event that we do have that many people, but typically it's 1 to maybe 2. The transaction time is actually pretty short at an ATM, but again, the ATM and the queue area can accommodate up to 3 cars. As part of the ATM well itself, it's there's a canopy that's over the ATM, as well as a headache bar, which is a clearance bar that will also be incorporated into the project. To give the committee, again, here's the abutters list, but to give the committee of what the actual site looks like. This is Main Street, currently now as it exists, the Dollar General. This is the south entrance. On this condition here, this is looking south, the main entrance here now. And then here's just a proposed rendering of what the possible ATM, should we be accepted to move forward, receive approval to move forward, of generally the ATM without the plantings, just to let the committee know kind of what it would look like. It's a covered canopy with a headache bar, what's located further back off the street. Again, it won't interrupt any of the daily vehicle traffic, both for the Dollar General and the abutter property. The power, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Sorry, the power distribution will come off, go into the sheet, my apologies. The existing pole now that's already been communicated and coordinated with the utility company, we will trench across the parking lot into our proposed ATM island and then repaired in like kind in place. Sorry, Jennifer, you had a question?
Oh, I just wanted to ask how large the landscape area is, square footage.
Square footage, sure. My apologies. Let me get to the sheet. It's roughly like 800 square feet. See if I got that. Oh, my apologies. 350 square feet plus or minus.
350, okay.
Margin. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to zoom in. And I'll open this up to the technical review committee if they have any questions or any concerns that they would like to discuss or address.
Mike, I have a question. This is Rosemary, a planning board member. What is the headache bar, the purpose of the headache bar for? I'm not
Sure.
familiar with it.
Not a problem. I'm going to zoom to the page, so
Okay,
bear with me. We do have a drawing. What the headache bar is, it's actually a clearance bar. You'll see if you go to any drive-through establishment, it just lets the patron in the vehicle know that, you know, the clearance in this case is 10'4". So any vehicle has to be below 10'4", or else they would hit the canopy that's covering the ATM as they approach the drive up.
all the drive-ups I've been through have been under, attached to the building, so I wasn't familiar with this setup. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
And you say you are trenching the utility, the electric in. What about water for the landscaping? Is that going to be trenched in too?
There's no water. These specific plantings have been selected for the climate zone, so they require very low maintenance. So your general rainstorm or rain event will provide sufficient amount of water for the plantings. So we don't need water here.
But if we have a drought like we had last year, you're going to come around with a watering truck?
Well, that would be, again, that would be part of the agreement between Citizens Bank and the landlord.
I see. Thank you.
Honestly, I've never seen, a Citizens Bank looking unmaintained. I'm just, landscaping. Okay. I was curious if Rick had any comments.
I'll go back out to a couple of pages. This is the canopy that we're proposing that goes over the Citizens Bank ATM. It's a standard prototype that they use.
Well, I can say a couple things. I like how you've tried to make it more pedestrian friendly by having the striping. I'm just wondering if you could have a sign or something that denoted it as like a pedestrian walkway more than stripes. Maybe a bollard in the front, just so that it's not just a stripe and people don't know that it's for walking. Sometimes, I don't know if John or Rick has any thoughts about that.
Yes, I mean, something to denote its purpose.
Yeah, or maybe pedestrian, something, yeah.
For that, I'll actually defer that question to our civil engineer, Phil Henry's on here, who might be able to provide a little bit more insight when it comes to striping in parking lots. Phil, if you will, can you provide a little insight, please?
Sure. Is the request just to add a sign at the sidewalk where the striping meets the existing sidewalk?
I would leave that up to you, just to have something that's above just the striping, either a sign. You think a sign would be good? Yeah, like pedestrian.
For both purposes, just to indicate that pedestrians
Can walk there.
But also for the vehicular traffic too.
Yeah,
to
for
indicate to the people that are driving through that parking lot that that's a pedestrian walkway and that pedestrians have the right of way.
Yeah, I guess a sign would probably be.
Sign or again some demarcation, something that specify pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, even maybe bollards in the front, just to say that it's, so people know that that's a walkway, in some indication other than just striping. That's my request.
If I
Can
may
I-
add to that, it's Kelly Ravenel from Steer
Yes.
Engineering. So we reviewed this quickly and had kind of a similar question of, I don't believe that bollards could be put in the front or back because you
Okay.
want it to be ADA compliant. And so you
Okay.
need a 5-foot unobstructed path. But with that being said, we were curious, usually the typical standard is if you add to anything, once you touch it, you own it. And so if you're adding the striping on either side of what looks like the existing striping where the parking spaces are, we were just wanting to point out or note that that light pole in the middle of the existing striping would prevent that from being ADA compliant. So you may or may not run into the issue as soon as you put that striping on either side, once you touch it, you own it, and you'd have to ensure that that entire pathway is ADA compliant, which is the unobstructed width. And it looks like there may be that existing light pole in the middle there.
Why can't
So
you move
just
the striping
widen,
to one side or
yeah.
the other? What's preventing you from moving that striping, that walk area to one side or the other of that light pole?
We could do that, probably lose the space, but what we will do is confirm the dimension from the edge of the existing light pole to the edge of the existing striping. As long as that we have the minimum requirement for ADA, we should be fine,
Yep.
which I believe is either 32 or 44, if it's just a standard in here. The 5 feet is given because it gives you the turning radius in here, but if we're just talking off of an east-west type of circulation, and as long as we have the minimum requirement here just to get around and it's within the striping, we'll be fine.
Yeah, 36 inches clear.
So Kelly, you don't think bollards then, just a sign? Do you?
I would say just a sign. I was thinking that the the width for ADA is 4 feet, I believe. I thought that was the minimum width. So I doubt it would be 4 feet over the to the side of that light pole. But again, the main issue is just once you touch it at all, you own it, unfortunately, because I see that a 5-foot path is provided otherwise. But yeah, I wouldn't do a bollard unless you can still maintain that 4 feet. I would say the signs, similar to, even sometimes they have the pop-up signs that you see. Well, all I can think of is like Main Street, East Greenwich. But just a sign noting that it is a pedestrian or slow for pedestrians in the walkway, that kind of thing.
I'll review that with the bank too,
Yeah,
because
we
that's
can-
outside
yeah,
of
we
their,
can look into
their
it.
lease agreement. So we'll check on that.
Mike, it's Rosemary again. Going back to that easement, this is a deeded easement. Are there any restrictions within that easement that might be a problem?
Sure, I'll have Phil jump in a little bit on that. Phil?
We read the documents that were provided. It's mainly an access easement. So that's why the ATM is positioned where it is and not closer to the street. So other than that, we didn't see any other encumbrances that should be noted or any restrictions.
So it is a deeded easement. And I must say, this is a far better plan than was presented in February. I like this one a lot better.
Thank you very much.
And the only other thing, and it's not it's more of a request, not a definite, but have you thought about putting at least a small tree in the landscaping? I'm sure you haven't thought about that, but I think trees really make the area look much nicer, even a small ornamental tree. And you don't have to worry about the power lines at that location.
Yeah, we have looked at different planting species. When we start introducing trees, it now becomes a vertical type of decision that you have to make. So, if we do put an ornamental tree in there, it's only, we don't want it to block the canopy, which does have the Citizens Bank logo, which is how, anyone from Main Street kind of identifies that there's an actual drive-up ATM there. And then also with the trees, now getting back to Rosemary's comment about water, now you have to provide water for there. And then there's also the maintenance with trees with the fall and spring cleanup on there. So we did consider it. It's just a little bit more of a maintenance issue that could also, kind of conflict what the overall purpose here was to construct a drive-up ATM unobstructed.
I understand.
From an engineering perspective, I had one question about, I think it's the southern entry, where you have the stop bar, the entry and exit. So the plans, and Rick could attest to this, but the plans need to show the curb cut for that opening, because it's showing the curb cut for the adjacent driveway, which then leads my question. I hadn't seen the plan with the traffic study, but so the traffic study at that, I think it was location B, was that for the adjacent property driveway?
The traffic study was done for both because the adjacent property uses both entrances A and B. Let me get to that sheet.
Okay, only because I think the question is the curb cut going to be using then that existing property, or is B right there another curb cut?
B is an existing curb cut that exists now.
Oh,
So
that's not shown on your plans.
Yeah, there's 2 curb cuts here that are existing to remain. So our scope of work is we're leaving all this intact, not touching any of this. It's just dropping in the ATM and trenching from the existing utility pole to the ATM here to provide power for the unit. And then obviously the additional striping. So as far as curb cuts go, sidewalk modifications, we're not touching any of that.
Okay, I only ask because I'm looking at Google Maps and I understand Google Maps cannot be up to date, but the curb cut exists for the adjacent property and not for the property that you're talking about. So is there definitely a curb cut for the property you're talking about at location B there?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I may, let me go jump down to, I believe it's showing one of these photographs here. So this is location B.
Well, right, but so the curb cut is not on the Dollar General property.
If we look at,
Yeah, that's correct. It actually straddles the property line. So, and those curb cuts are shown on the plan. They are on the civil plans. The curb cut is just formed by the curb. As you know, the sidewalk just meets the parking lot, so there's no curb geometry into the site. So if you look closely, there is curb ends where those driveways are. So curb cut B is just right of the existing pole that is on the abutting property.
Yeah, see how the curb cut on this plan though? I guess I'm confused with the curb cut because the curb cut, yeah, is on the other property. And so if you're proposing a curb cut on the Dollar, is it Dollar General,
No,
not Dollar
yeah,
Tree?
No, I think pictorially, I think that line for B should just be moved over. There's no proposed curb cuts.
Okay, but so then that southern entry for this ATM is from lot 360 there to the south or to the left?
To the
that's
left,
correct.
yes.
It's a shared, I guess, entry and exit for both properties.
Okay, yeah, I think that for consistency with the plans, at least to clear up any confusion, I think the pavement marking should be moved to where the curb opening is.
Sure.
Just to also note that it's on lot 360 and not necessarily the Dollar General, but that it's a shared driveway, if that's the
Yep.
case.
Okay.
Excuse me, for a civil question here, maybe Rick or Phil could answer this. I only got my plans on Monday and they're very difficult to read on the computer as well as the size of them, but do we have enough rooms on the side yard of this proposed ATM to the lot to the south?
Yeah, there's a 20-foot side yard setback as we understand it, and the canopy is just over 20 feet from that sideline.
So our zoning official's gonna bless it?
Yes,
Hopefully.
Well, also
yes,
you have,
if that's what it is.
There
also
was
you
a
have
question
proposed
on the
pavement.
radii.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Rosemary.
I lost you. I'm sorry. My computer just froze.
We can still hear you though.
I couldn't hear the last person that spoke. I'm sorry.
Oh, that may have been me. It's Kelly. I was just going to note to your point that within that setback, you have proposed pavement. So I don't know if proposed pavement is allowed within the side yard setback. It might be, but just to note that it's not just the canopy. You also have proposed pavement there.
Yeah, it's actually existing pavement
Yeah,
that we're
so.
just saw cutting out. So, and typically, unless there's some local provision, setbacks don't typically include pavement, but I'll defer to the building inspector for that.
He's here and he just said
Yeah, I concur.
he
Yeah. Yes,
agrees that it doesn't.
Okay.
Good.
I don't know if Rick can
Excellent.
any questions, and just reach out to Rick again.
No, Rick, thank you, Jennifer. DPW is all set. This is Rick on that, on the ATM, the location and et cetera, and the access and the traffic count. DPW doesn't have any questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
I have just one last simple question. For the turning radius for turning into the ATM, have you done a study of what types of trucks, not trucks, vehicles, I should say, like can a trailer turn into there without a problem?
A tractor trailer, no, this isn't designed for a tractor trailer, but any single unit vehicle will be able to make turns, specifically passenger vehicles, even large pickup trucks.
Yeah,
Typically, your turning radius is about 15 feet. And keep in mind, the reason why there's that much striping upstream, if you will, of the ATM was so that people can make that wide turn. So folks that are coming using that drive-through should be making that turn, essentially adjacent to the parking that is adjacent to the Dollar General. So they shouldn't be making that sharp turn. So there is sufficient turning radius there.
okay, great. And then if the stop bar or the entry and exit, the southern side, is actually a little bit to the left or to the south of the ATM, I might just recommend having, and it might already be there, something on the front of the ATM that just said, I know there's a stop bar, but I wonder if there should just be a sign of some sort, either saying exit only or no entry, because I'm just nervous about crossing vehicles now. If you were, I mean, like you said, the traffic's would be low here, but just of vehicles crossing in front of, I wouldn't want a vehicle entering that southern driveway and then not realizing that they need to go around.
Yeah, I think what we can do is, I wouldn't want to put like a do not enter sign there because I don't want to confuse them. But what we can do is we can mount a sign in the island that has a sort of like a right arrow, like a right of the island arrow. It's an MUTCD sign that we can propose, and I think that will assist. So it will direct people. Anyone that wants to access the ATM needs to do so on the right side of it.
Correct. Okay, yeah, that works.
Okay.
Phil Rosemary again. On drawing number 1, there's an aerial and it shows a delivery truck at Dollar General with the traffic arrow.
Hmm.
Is that delivery going to be hampered? But Dollar General by the traffic flow?
Which sheet are you on?
I was on sheet 1. Look at the aerial and look at the Dollar General store.
Yep.
Is that loading though? I don't think, is that
Yep.
their loading
I
area?
think it's a loading.
I think loading's in the back. I think it's in
Yeah.
the back of the building.
Oh, so that's just, well, it looks like there's a,
It's a truck there, yeah.
it's a truck, but there's also, it looks like a ramp off the truck.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't speak to what that actual vehicle is, but typically the Dollar General or any retail store of this size has tractor trailers that they control. However, with that being said, there's always what we call vendor trucks, like single unit vehicles such as this one, whether carrying milk or soda or newspapers, that inevitably they just pull into a space, do what they need to do, and then they're gone. So I don't know exactly what that is, but the larger trucks will not be blocking the drive aisle like that.
No, but it's a parking space there. It's taken up and the arrow is going through it. Appears to be.
Yes.
That's something that the bank and Dollar General can work at. So noting that if we do get approval, we can let the bank speak with Dollar General and just have them coordinate all the deliveries to be outside of the drive lane and the adjacent parking spaces. So we don't have this type of delivery happening, encroaching into the drive aisle of the space.
Yeah, and we could, Dollar General could also mount signs on the building that says, passenger vehicle parking only or something. So there's, I see your point. I can't speak to what that specific vehicle is doing in that area, but I think there's an easy remedy.
And I think there was one inside on another plan, but just so that you're aware of it, I wouldn't like to see them be interfered with.
Understood.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Jennifer,
Mhm.
when this is a special use permit's going to be required, right?
Yes, because it's a drive-through.
So just so that the applicants know, we need a full site plan that we send with our recommendations to the zoning board.
Yes.
And it should have the zoning designations, the locus, all of that information, preferably on one sheet. I mean, this is great what they've given us, all these plans, but we need a site plan, a complete site plan.
There's a site plan with the zoning on it. It's
There's partial, so there are partial site plans, Phil. There's nothing that goes to the entire parcel itself. It truncates like at the back of the building. It doesn't do the entire parcel.
yeah, because we're trying to focus on the pertinent sections. So, you know, I think you can certainly break out some of these sheets as you know, you don't need the architectural or the details, but I mean, we're trying to strike a balance of providing a complete and comprehensive plan
Oh,
set.
it's what you've given us is great, but I'm thinking of what's going to be recorded in the land evidence book, along with the book and page and all the references. I'm
Okay.
thinking ahead. The same thing with the abutters plan that you gave us. I forgot, I've written it down here. The abutters names should be on that plan, and they're not.
Well, that's for their zoning application.
Yeah, but
And to-
what we look at is initialed and goes to the zoning board, which you can discuss with Susan, but I'm just thinking ahead.
If I may, it's Mike from Stark. Per the checklist, and I believe it was reviewed with Jennifer, since this is a design plan review and not a site plan review, a site plan to that level of detail was not required. And as far as the comment with the list of properties of all the butters, I believe that's a separate attachment that's also been submitted as part of the full application.
Understand, Mike, I'm just trying to save you some time because you're going to be required to have a site plan when you go to the zoning board, reviewed by the planning board.
Understood.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I think the plans are much better than last time. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think that you'll be able to go to the July 13th meeting. Just want to make sure we covered everything. Yeah, pretty much. Now, the police chief wasn't here. What I'm going to do is just make sure that I get some sort of comments from him that he looked over the plans. Because I know that there was a little concern with traffic, even though I don't think that this is a high traffic use.
Do we need anything from the fire?
Well, I could always ask fire to weigh in, but they weren't on the they weren't actually on the ad hoc. But
No.
you know, yeah. But I know the police chief was for traffic. So. But if no one has any other comments, we can adjourn. Does anyone have?
Great. If I just may, just to
Yeah.
summarize a couple of the questions that came here.
Sure.
So again, thank you for your time and all the comments. Phil and I will go back and edit the drawings accordingly and submit for the July 13th meeting. But it seems like the items that came up here is one, in regards to the pavement markings at the south entrance, to move those over so this way diagrammatically they align with the drawings. Two would be to add in some type of signage in here to indicate that this is a pedestrian walkway zone. Three, to check the distance, the clear width distance with the existing light pole and the existing stripe in here to make sure that we have the required width. And then 4 would be to put some type of signage here that would also indicate the route of traffic entering the ATM in here. And then the other comment, which we'll look at, is the site plan for the entire lot property.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Do I hear an adjournment? Rosemary, are you going to give me one?
Why are you leaving that up to me? It's a privileged motion.
Maybe-
I'll make a motion.
You're gonna make
to
it?
adjourn.